Hey guys, welcome to Millionaire Brand Creation. I am super excited to have a friend of mine on, Braydon Dennis. Braydon's been in the title business since 2016 and beyond. And more importantly, he is a huge philanthropic influence here in Arizona, member of the 2030 Club, as well as loves the outdoors and has an amazing ability to interconnect with people in the real estate space. So, for all of you entrepreneurs, real estate agents, those of you looking to be a master connector, Braydon is going to kind of give us the ideas of what needs to be done in order to cultivate that in your own life. So without further ado, Braydon, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, Mike. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank
Hey,
you
thank
for the intro.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Hey, get closer to the screen so we can see your beautiful face, man. Tell us a little bit about your childhood. Tell us a little bit about what kind of got you into that entrepreneurial spirit growing up.
Born and raised here in Arizona. Always just kind of been around some my family members that have always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit as well. Dad's been a lender here in the Valley for 30 plus years or whatever, and so I was kind of raised an originator myself actually, and I did that for a couple of years right out of college, and just didn't think it was the right fit for me. It was a lot more kind of behind the desk kind of work, if you would, and jumped over the title world, like you mentioned, about actually 8 years ago now. Just absolutely love it. It's basically a relationship driven business, as you know, and it's basically just kind of cultivating those relationships with agents like yourself and people out in the industry that are just doing really good work.
How do you do that? Like a lot of people always ask me, especially in the relationship space, in the real estate space, how do you cultivate long-term, long-lasting, high-level relationships in an authentic way? You got any nuggets you can share with the audience?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is shared experiences. So there's like the 7 levels of communication, and I kind of go to the next level of shared experiences, if you would. And so, going on trips with your friends that end up, or with your clients that end up becoming your friends. That's kind of the big thing is I would say I happen to just be friends with a good amount of people that just sell real estate, and just kind of creating relationships through those shared experiences. So going on trips, going to sporting events. One of my big things is golf. I love golfing with my clients because I obviously love golfing myself. And it's just a good way to kind of spend 4 hours out with a constituent and kind of really get to know them on a personal level, and truly caring about their successes and their personal life as well. Knowing their family members, knowing their kids, celebrating those milestones with them, celebrating their kids' birthdays, and celebrating the milestones that they have in their career as well as their personal achievements as well. And as much as it is important to share the relationship through business, it's also just important just to have that relationship on the personal level as well, and really caring about them and caring about their success, because that's what's cool about my business is the more success that my clients have, the more I'm going to have. And so it kind of tied in together is if my clients grow their business exponentially, a lot of times it means my business grows exponentially. So it's really just kind of being ingrained in their business and their life as much as I can, and providing as much value as I can. I started my podcast like a year and a half ago, just kind of similar to yours, and just to show some value for the other people that you have on the show as well. As much as it's great for yourself and your business, it's also just great to have people on like myself, because it's awesome to have that exposure and for you to be willing to share your exposure and your different demographic that you kind of market to as well. And so just kind of being aware of those things and trying to help people to help them grow is just huge. And being on kind of on the cutting edge of that stuff, and really making sure that you're on top of what's trending in the market, and not just kind of following what the leaders or what the kind of the market is seeing, but really trying to be that leader in the market and kind of setting those trends. And that kind of answers your question. But
Yeah, no, it does a lot of ways. And I know that you have a lot of great relationships with people of all different age groups and all different, socioeconomic stratas. And the question I have that I think a lot of the listeners want to know too is, what are some of the things that like the super successful people in your orbit do that may be a little bit different than what other people do?
focus on the details. I would say that's the biggest thing is, the agents that I work with that are the next level agent focus on every small little minute thing. And so I've kind of learned actually from the guy that owns our company. His name's Mark. And if you go over to his house, everything in his fridge even is meticulously lined up. Even like, so each little beverage, if you got Gatorade on one side, they're all color coordinated. And then the Topo Chicos are right next. And like every little thing has to be perfect. And it's just because that's just kind of how he wants his businesses to operate as well. And so like every little detail matters. And then your clients are going to see that and really appreciate that, because you're actually taking the time to really focus on those minute details, as opposed to just kind of shooting at the hip and just kind of willy-nilly going about your day. It's actually, everything is methodical, and being more patient, I would say, is what a big thing that I've learned as well, is not to just make a decision on the whim, but to actually take a step back, think about how that's going to impact other things in your business, think about how that's going to exemplify what you're trying to achieve. And kind of like, I mean, you were at the home tour, and Joan Levinson brought up the fact that, you know, she really just focuses on her niche market and things of that nature, and really just hones in on that, because then you become the expert, as opposed to just kind of being in every place you can and trying to be the master realtor in every single market. It's just not possible. And so really kind of focusing in on exactly what I want and exactly how to go about those people, and coming up with a strategic plan.
Yeah, creating a plan is so important, I think, to success. And when you look at your life plan, I know you have a beautiful wife, great dogs, great life. What are some things about your life that you planned out, and some of the things you're looking to accomplish here in the next 5 or 10 years?
Oh, funny. We're actually moving one of our offices right now. So we're moving our Gainey office up to the Quarter. So I'm actually sitting in that one of the new offices right now. And I was going through one of my desks actually, and it had my 2030 application in there from when I joined the 2030 Club, which was 8 years ago now. A couple of the things where I was going to have a kid and one on the way. So I accomplished that, which was really cool. Was going to build my first custom home. I haven't done that yet, so I still got to get that done. I was going to be the vice president of the current company, or the company that I was at prior to Great American Title. And so that was a 5-year plan. And I didn't do that in 5 years, but I did it in 7 years once I got over to Great American Title. And so I'm now the vice president of sales at the company here. And so that was on the plan. And so it was kind of cool. The things that I had written out, a lot of them kind of came to fruition. And so I think the notion of, you got to write down your goals always, and you got to visualize your goals so you actually can achieve them. I think kind of like what you had on, you've done your vision boards in the past and stuff I've seen, and you kind of actually see those things that come to fruition, and it's really cool. And so, yeah, that was a cool question, because I literally just read the application yesterday, and a lot of those things kind of have come to fruition.
Well, it's almost like you got to touch it, you got to feel it, you got to be around it. Whatever you crave or desire to attain in your life, you have to be in proximity of it. You
Yep.
know, I think a lot of people, especially when they achieve wealth or success or whatever it is for them, family, they don't necessarily know that they're worthy of it, or they're not happy or understanding of what it takes to be in that situation. And I
Yep.
think the more you familiarize yourself with the life that you want to live, however that looks to you, the more at peace you'll become when you actually achieve it. So that's raises another question for me. Who was a big mentor in your life? And then what did they teach you about life?
I mean, a big one, no question about it, is my father. He's just instilled a work ethic on me that um, there's just no excuses. No one cares. Just work harder. No one wants to listen to you complaining. No one wants to listen to your excuses. They just want to hear that you're out there doing it. He's definitely instilled that on me. He was the guy that would wake me up at 5:30 in the morning on a weekend, and I'd have to go out and help him with the yard or do all kinds of stuff. And now I appreciate him for doing those things and kind of instilling that work ethic on me. He's always just kind of been a savvy business guy as well, and very philanthropic, and just involved with a bunch of different boards and stuff. And so he was always the one that got me to go try out for the 2030 Club, and he's why I'm on the board now for the Boys and Girls Club. And he's just a huge kind of proponent of mine, and a huge cheerleader of mine, of course, as my father. Always wants me to be doing better, and kind of like what you mentioned, like expecting those things for myself. The owner of our title company, Great American Title, I've known him. I grew up playing hockey with his son since I was like 10 years old. And so whenever I was disgruntled at my last company, I called him and I was like, hey, looking to make a change, would love to come over and work with you, and would love to just kind of pick your brain, because he's one of the more savvy businessmen I've ever met, and just a local guy here in Arizona, owns, I don't even know, 5, 10 plus businesses or whatever. And just is just a great mentor, and just a good person to kind of pick his brain and kind of get his opinion on different things. So
What did he teach you? What did he teach you specifically that you want to share with the audience?
a big thing was patience, to be honest, because I'm not a patient guy, quite honestly. I want success tomorrow, and I wanted the position as the vice president of sales today, or years ago. And so just kind of patience, really taking care of your clients, really He actually sent me a quote the other day that was just basically, you take care of your clients, you work hard, you do things as fast as you possibly can at the best of your ability. Being professional, I think, is a lot of it too, is always looking the part. I mean, he's an attorney, and so every time I see him, he's in a suit, he's always looking the part, and he's always acting the part. I think also just being humble, supporting the community that you come from. That's a big thing of his too. And one of the reasons why I was really attracted to Great American Title is he's just extremely philanthropic. And I knew that. And when I found boards that he's on, I think he's on like 7 different boards.
Oh, wow.
Just giving back to just an ungodly amount of different organizations, and supporting the community, and just in tenfold that what that does for just kind of our corporate awareness as well, and just our good kind of speak amongst the community.
Philanthropy, that's something I really want to touch upon too, because I know you're really active in the community yourself. Tell us about your 2030 experience. How did you get involved with that? And then what happened because of that, right? Because I know a lot of people always, say get involved, be philanthropic, do all these things, but I know it makes you feel great. But what has it done for you and your business and your identity, and what has it brought you in your life?
I love talking about the 2030 Club. So we transitioned a year ago to the Saguaros. I am actually now the oldest member in terms of tenure in the club, so they can't get rid of me for whatever reason. I've been in it for 8 years now. So I was in high school for 4 years, college for 4 years, and those friend groups I still have friends to this day that were in those groups. But now I've been in it for twice as long as any of those groups or any of those communities, if you would. And so it's just amazing the lifelong friendships that I have. I wouldn't say that's the number one reason why I'm in the group is for the lifelong friendships, but it's definitely a huge reason for the group. It's just the community that it's created, and the impact that we truly have on our local community as well. I mean, last year we raised a little over $2 million. We gifted to 28 local children's charities, and it was our biggest successful year ever. And so just through that, and through the light that's kind of shedded on the community, and just the things that I'm doing amongst different events and stuff, it's been wonderful for business. It's been wonderful for just seeing the impact that we truly have on, I keep saying the word community, but that we have on all of the different charities.
And if individuals want to get involved, right? If someone says, "Oh, I want to be a part of that organization or the Boys and Girls Club," how do they get involved in their local community? What's the best way to kind of throw your hat in the ring, so to speak?
Yeah, any local charity can apply for a grant through us. So as long as they're a 501c3 and they support local children's charities, or it's a local children's charity, and as long as the funding actually goes towards an Arizona function of it, then they could apply for the grant, and we'll kind of go through our deliberation process, and our foundation board essentially makes the decision as to how much money we're going to grant to them. They could request anywhere between $100, and that's for $500,000 request. The largest check we've ever given out is $1 million to Phoenix Children's Hospital, which we just did this last year, which was really cool. If you want to get involved with the club itself, there's just a prospective period, if you would. So I actually tried to join when I was 22 years old, and they were basically like, "Yeah, you're too young, immature, and you don't know anybody in town. You're not going to be able to fundraise anything." And I was like, "What the heck? I feel like I know everybody in town." And so it was a humbling experience, quite honestly, because I joined a fraternity. I got in my fraternity. I was always on sports teams, and I just always kind of got into those groups. And then not getting into that group, I was like, well, what the hell? What do I got to do to get into this thing? So I started volunteering with just different other charity groups that I knew they supported, kind of show them that, hey, I do want to do this, and look at all the different work that I'm doing outside of being involved with you guys.
I think that's great. I think being involved and being philanthropic is one of the key cornerstones of anybody's personal and business success. How did you get involved in the Boys and Girls Club?
Through the Saguaros. So when I was actually the charities chairman, we've always been involved with the Boys and Girls Club because my wife and I, one of our dogs is actually a service dog, and so we actually took her to the Boys and Girls Club for almost 3 years as a Gabriel's Angels. We went to the Barker branch of the Boys and Girls Club for 2 years and kind of worked with the kids there. And just had a really great experience with the Boys and Girls Club. I was also a club kid back in the day, so I've always just loved the Boys and Girls Club and their mission and what they do. So when I was the charities chairman, I made sure we gave them the largest check that they've ever received from us. It was really cool to be able to do that, and just kind of through that and through the relationships that I've kind of built with the Boys and Girls Clubs over the year, they thought I'd be a good candidate for joining the board. Really cool. I got to chair their event last year called Raise the Rooftop, which was just a really cool country concert that we threw on the top of the Fashion Square parking garage. And then through that, it was a pretty successful event. And through that, they were like, "Hey, on the board and help us with other events in the future." So I'm getting heavily involved with their golf tournament that we're going to put on. I'm going to chair the Raise the Rooftop event again this year. I'm trying to get involved with the charitable tax credit and just try to really jump in as much as I can. Because one thing I've learned with these groups is you get in what you put in. So
Right.
if you're just a member and you're just kind of, oh yeah, I'm in the group, then you're not going to get much out of it. So if you're really ingrained in the group and really showing your support, then you kind of get it back tenfold.
When you look back at your life, because obviously you're a young guy. How old are you now, Braydon?
33.
So 33. So you're probably 6 months younger than me. Okay. If you look back into your 20s, what are some of the things that you might have done differently? Or what are some of the things that you could recommend to like some of our younger viewers to be like, this is what I wish I would have done to gotten the next leg up to where I am today, either in my personal life, my social life, or my financial future?
Yep. So actually at the PV Home Tour, I ran into Charlie Stidham, and I'm extremely grateful for Charlie Stidham. Whenever I first got into the title world, his daughter wasn't in the title world yet. So he was running me around to all the home tours, and I would just ride in his car. And Charlie Stidham knows, as you know, everybody in town. I mean, if you're a real estate agent and you've been going on these home tours for the last 30 years or whatever, chances are you've probably ran into or met Charlie Stidham. One thing that he kind of told me is he was like, hey, I know you're getting into this title space. What I recommend is just putting your head down, taking care of your clients, doing the things that other people necessarily wouldn't want to do. And then eventually it's all going to come back tenfold. And you'll find out in 5-7 years that you're going to have so many clients and it's just going to be a snowball. And you just have to kind of just put your head down and grind and do the things that people you necessarily wouldn't want to do, and also doing things for free. I hate saying that, but it is 100% true. Is doing things for others and without expecting anything in return. And people realize what you're doing, people appreciate what you're doing, and they want to repay that favor. I'm constantly trying to evolve myself and learn new things to have different things that I could offer to my clients, because if I'm coming up with the new cutting edge thing, even if it's a podcast that's nothing new now, but it's still an awesome opportunity for them to grow their business. And so like just the fact of like me coming on here, I'm extremely grateful for you just kind of hosting me on here and stuff. Just kind of
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I'm sure you could attest to this as being a podcaster yourself. I don't really do this for other people. I do this for myself because I want to learn from the individuals, right? I want to learn and learn their story and get to know their story. I'm taking copious notes myself, trying to write everything down and figure out their people's life stories. And in doing that, it's funny how philanthropy is that way too, right? I got into a company called Helping Hands Housing Services. I did that for years, and we grew a big sub-organization of tutoring underprivileged children. So you could probably attest to how important kids are to our future. And I did that so selfishly in the beginning because I thought, oh, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get into college. I'm going to get into these groups, whatever. But there was one change of heart to where you realize you're really helping other people. And that is something that's so priceless, so unbelievable, so rewarding. And I'm sure that's why you do it, because it's just like when that one person comes up to you and says, hey, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for putting in that time. Thank you for raising these funds to do something great for our organization. There must be no greater feeling that you have. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons that you do it.
Yeah, we do an annual gifting meeting where all of the different charity groups that we support come in and they give a little speech as to the impact that the funds that we donate to them is going to have on their community. And quite honestly,
awesome.
We're all like in tears. The wife's all in tears. It's a great opportunity to bring the wife and make sure she knows what you're doing on the days off and stuff, because it's
I love that.
pretty incredible to see the impact.
Yeah. So when you look forward into your business, and let's say you have a financial goal, right? Like let's say you're trying to achieve 7 figures of income a year, whatever that is, right? What are some of the things that you're doing and implementing in your business today that you could share with the audience that maybe they can implement, even if they're not in the same industry, but some of the takeaways that you're like, okay, this is good. This is getting me to where I need to go. What would you say to something like that?
First and foremost, the number one thing for me has always been CRM. I know it's kind of cliche, but it should be your number one tool, no question about it. I mean, there's no way as an agent or as a business owner or any business you're in that if you're working hard and you're trying to prospect new clients every day or every other day or whatever it is, there's no way you're going to be able to manage and stay in contact with that many people on a consistent basis without a system and process in play like a CRM. So that is like one of my biggest things that I teach on and coach on and train myself on daily as well, is like I'm constantly evaluating new CRM tools, things that are going to automate things for me. and systematize my processes, because if it's not systematized, then it's just, again, just throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick. And so if you've got a process in play, which typically requires you to use a CRM, then you're going to be so much better in business, and you're going to be able to stay in constant communication with your clients. I think the stat I always throw out is, they say that 90% of your clients would say they would list your house with you again if you stayed in contact with them. And so, real estate agent, you've always got to stay in contact or constant communication with your clients, because, I mean, as you know, there's 80,000 agents or whatever in Arizona. Chances are they probably know another agent. And if you're not the one that's staying in front of them, staying top of mind, then you're going to be kind of put by the wayside, or they're going to potentially use another agent on the next deal. Or same thing for me, is like, if I'm not staying in front of, agents or lenders who are my primary clients on a regular basis, then chances are somebody else is trying to do that as well.
Let's delve a little bit deeper in the CRM thing, because I think this is fascinating. If you're willing to share the golden nuggets, this is this type of stuff people love. Like, what are some of the things that you actually do with the CRM? What are some of the consistencies? What do you do? Like emails, text messages, drip systems? Like, can you shed a little light on someone maybe starting that for the first time, or an entrepreneurial trying to get traction in their business? What are some of the things that you've seen that work?
Consistency is key, as always. So whatever your message is, it has to be consistent. My big thing is every Wednesday. So every Wednesday morning, you get a market report from me, and it shows all the markets that I believe that your current business is in. And it's going to have a different link, if you would, for all the different markets and stuff. So you can get a detailed market report for any of those markets. On Thursday, we send out another email that has all the upcoming events for the weekend and the sports calendars and things of that nature. And then on Friday is a weekly newsletter that goes out that has more analytical data, and as well as like different market reports. I share like the daily observation from the Crumford report that came out that day. Every Friday, I spend about 2 to 3 hours putting together that damn newsletter. But I get so many people that respond of like, "Hey, where's the newsletter? I haven't seen the newsletter. Can you send me the newsletter?"
Yeah.
And then what I do is a lot of them, quite honestly, use my newsletter as their newsletter.
Smart.
That's just a kind of another little thing of value that I add. And so, and it's just the consistency thing, like I said. And then also, anytime I get a new transaction, the cross agent is going into a campaign. And so they're immediately getting touched, and then they're getting an email consistently throughout the entire process of the transaction. A lot of it is just begging for them to meet with me at some point, or begging for them to meet with me, right? But at that point, the system's just kind of running itself, quite honestly. And so at that point, I'm kind of hands off, and I'll wait for kind of their response. And it's a lot of tidbits of different things that the company's offering, why they should work with us, talking about our community outreach program and how philanthropic we are as an organization, how we support the local community, and all that.
Do you text or just email, or both?
I need to get better at texting, to be honest. I do a lot of texting with my clients once I'm like in communication with them, but in terms of like outreach and stuff, I don't do any text right now, to be honest. So having said that, it's probably a good point that I probably should start moving a little bit more into that, just because you're getting a lot more response rate, I think, with text.
So here's a question. So you have a son on the way, correct?
No, I just had my second daughter.
Oh, daughter. Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Her name's Scotty, so it kind of throws everyone for a loop.
Oh, gotcha. Well, congratulations. And so for your daughters, here's a question I always ask our guests is, for your children, what is one piece of advice that you can relay to them as they get older to bring wisdom and success and happiness in their life that you could share with the audience?
Just to be nice to everyone and treat everyone with respect. Everyone kind of reads a book by their cover, before they actually get to know everybody. And one thing that I've learned is, if you actually just take the time to sit down with everybody, you end up finding a lot of commonalities between anybody you're meeting, and just taking the time to actually get to know them, as opposed to judging people. And so I think that was kind of something I did at an earlier age in life. And I thought I was the cool kid in high school or whatever. And I don't feel like I treated anybody bad by any means, but I definitely didn't give some people the time of day. And so now I don't look at life like that anymore. And I see the value in everybody, and just getting to know individuals and taking the time to get to know them. And eventually you'll find out you have a lot of commonalities and stuff. So like the people that I thought were my enemies in high school, now you just sit there and laugh about it, right? Because it's comical, actually. The things that you thought were important aren't important. Just be a good human. That's the end of the day. Like, you be a good human, people see that, and it'll come tenfold in business and just in life.
Now, is there a quote or something that you resonate with, or that's a part of your life? Is there a quote that you can think of that you can share with the audience?
There's been one quote that stuck with me. It's nothing really like business wise, but it's "We are who we protect." So it's the only quote I've ever wanted to actually get as like a tattoo or something like that. And it's just because, quite honestly, if you're in my circle, and something were to happen to you, like I will be there in a second, and you could call me anytime, and I'll be there to answer questions or just to kind of talk to you about that. So kind of a cheesy quote, but
I love that. Yeah, that's
something
great.
that I guess as a hockey player, like if you got a teammate that's in a fight, the entire team jumps on that ice and you're in the fight together.
That's
So
right.
that's just kind of how I kind of live my life as well. Is like if I see a friend in need, I'll jump in before kind of asking questions or whatever. It's just kind of who I am. Protect, a little
I
quote.
love that. I love that. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all your wisdom with us today. Where can they follow you? Where can they get to know you? What's the best place to get in contact with you?
Yeah, pretty much any social media platform: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Braydon Dennis, Braydon, Dennis, Dennis. You could also follow my podcast, Break It Down with Braydon, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, and then anything Great American Title as well. So we're on all the platforms as well on there. And yeah, we'd love your support and love anybody that would love to follow us.
Love it. All right, man. Hey, thank you so much, Braden. Really appreciate you taking the time. And I look forward to being on your podcast here on the 12th and you get back into town. I know we're going to hash it up and come up with some good stuff. So thanks again for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.